Thank you, Stephen. So I feel really blessed to be here today with all of you and to have this opportunity to speak. It was very unexpected, happened at the tail end, and I want to thank Stephen for this opportunity. I also feel blessed that Nina and my children Ruby and Ben are in the audience. My name is Seibold. I've been retired for 25 months now, and Nina has been retired 6 months longer than I have. So we are really getting to enjoy time with our two children, and we all feel very blessed to have that time together. My blog is financiallypossible.com. It is a little different than most FI or FIRE blogs in that my central theme is social change. I have this feeling that the world as it stands today could be much better than it is and should be much better than it is. And I'll go into why I think it isn't later in the presentation. Nina also has a blog called MissFinancialLiteracy.com. Her blog is more on financial literacy and female empowerment because I think what we really need to do is raise up women in the discussion of finances more than anything. So I'm an early retiree. Oh. Okay, and I messed that up again. Okay, I'm an early retiree. I retired just after I turned 37. I majored in computer science and minored in economics at Texas A&M University. Do we have other Aggies in the audience? I grew up in Central Texas. I went to high school in Round Rock, which is where I currently live as well. I consider myself an outrageous optimist, a lifelong learner, a futurist, and for the most part, I'm very happy. That doesn't mean that I'm happy all the time. Nobody gets to be happy all the time. I think it's part of the human condition to experience sadness and grief and suffering. But I would describe myself as very happy. I'm also a self-taught investor. Pretty much everything that I needed to learn to escape the workplace, I did through reading a lot of the finance articles that are out there. My talk today is about lifelong learning and purpose. And I think those two things are really intertwined, much more so than one might imagine. I want each of you to really think about these questions here. Why did you come to Earth? What's your purpose? And has the answer to that question changed for you over the course of your life? Like if you reflect back 5 years or 10 years ago, would you have had a different answer than you have today? When you were still a student in high school, how would your answer have been different? What about in middle school? Does a need for money cause you to lose sight of your answer to those previous questions or deviate from your true purpose in life? I love quotes, and I'm going to be sharing a few during the presentation, but one that I really like is, live like you'll die tomorrow, but learn like you'll live forever. That's a testament to lifelong learning. As I mentioned, I minored in economics, and my definition of productivity is a little different than what you would find in an economics textbook. It's a measure of how much service we can be to others. Notice there's no word money in there anywhere. It's sort of in there because money is somewhat of a measure of doing something of value to others. But I think there's been some distortion in that over time. So it's really imparting service to other people. My definition for FI is freeing self from self. So this entire presentation is actually something that I've given about a dozen times before. It's been adapted from presentations where I go into a high school setting in Round Rock and teach students about financial literacy and early retirement and financial decisions in life and how that has an impact and that you don't have to live and work until 65 or 70 and then retire. So I'm trying to inspire our future generations to accomplish a little more and get closer to their truer purpose in life. So many of the slides you see today are going to be quite similar to what I've been giving in the high school. Some are different. Increasing human lifespan. So back to my question of why do I feel like things aren't as good in the world as they could be or should be? My number one answer is human lifespan. It's been too short. We learn all of our lessons as we go through our life, but then we die. And people have historically tried to pass this information along in the form of writing or telling information to their children. But it's impossible to transfer every single life lesson that's important, that's really been imparted to you through the process of your life to your children. So I think that as human lifespans increase, it's going to help the world get better. It's going to create a new set of challenges. I plan to be in retirement for 8 decades or more and live beyond 120. And I think that improvements in medicine and technology and healthy lifestyles are going to be a part of this. I expect many people in this room to also live to 120 or beyond, and your children to 150. Anybody feeling scared? Looking at early retirement, like how am I going to make this money last this long? Well, I'm not trying to create any fear, and my next slide should help alleviate some of those fears. But given this lengthening of human lifespan, which I think is only going to be a continued trend going into the future, finding purpose is extremely important. It's the most important thing. If you want to have a good retirement, it's not just about the money. It's about how are you going to make use of that time? And you're going to have a lot of time if you retire early. And the better you make use of that time, the happier you will be and the longer you'll live. It's a positive feedback loop. Ruby's back there with questions, but we're going to hold the questions till the end, Ruby. So my wish for all of you is to live long and prosper and find your purpose. So this is a little image I had in my mind of why early retirement works. It's also why standard retirement works. So this point back here, this is your point at which you've achieved your nest egg, so to speak. You've got enough money that you can survive off of, okay? There's no buffer in there. We're not talking about fat fire here in this particular image. It's just the enough, right? And pretend you've got a basket of stocks and bonds. I'm a stock and bond investor myself. That's invested and it's returning you on average 8% per year. And your long-term running inflation rate is this 3% slope. Okay? I know Karsten earlier today discussed withdrawal rates. If you take this 8% slope and then withdraw 5% every year, exactly, it's going to move this directly down on top of the other line. What does that mean? It means the amount of money that you retired with is going to never change in true buying power over time, no matter how long you live. You could live to 500 years and you'd still have enough money. This is theoretical, of course. You're not really going to be withdrawing 5%, right? We're probably going to be withdrawing something more in the 3, 3 1/4, 3 1/3, 4% range. Why do you do that? Well, that creates an extra buffer, a safety zone, right? So, and the other problem is the market doesn't behave like this nice straight line. It does all of this stuff, right? that can make your stomach churn if you pay too much attention to it. Well, given all that, that's why you're only withdrawing 3%. But you see the space back here, this earliest, it has the least. So this is a great picture for modeling sequence of returns risk. Those first 5 years after you retire, how the market behaves during that time is by far the most important. As you've escaped that critical zone, then you get to more safe space where you've got more gap there. And if you're only withdrawing 3.5 or 3.25 each year, it builds in even more buffer as you go forward in time. So if you live to 150, you're still going to have money, as long as those first 5 years do okay. So don't be too afraid of living too long. I don't think you can live too long. Well, my life hasn't always been the smoothest. I've had some obstacles that I've had to overcome, and I think this is true of any life. I was quite a good student in high school. I actually graduated valedictorian from my high school, and I was valedictorian at the time that I attempted suicide twice in my junior year at age 16. And I feel it's important to share this information today, and I've already shared it on my blog and on my YouTube channel, because I want everyone to know that everybody faces struggles. And those of you that are parents, I want you to know that your children, they're not exempt from that. No matter what social status you have, no matter what, oh, I don't know what I pressed. Let's try this button. Okay, there we go. I got it. No matter what social status you have, no matter which gender, ethnicity, doesn't matter. I want parents to be tuned into this. Know that your child could be struggling. Look for the warning signs. The mistake I made at age 16 was not talking about it with anybody. I wasn't seeking help. I don't want that to be happening to other people. In my 20s, I became quite obese. I weighed 275 pounds in April of 2007. And over the period of the next 13 months, I lost 125 pounds to get to 150. And my goal was always maintain between 150 and 170 cents, and I've done that. I'm currently at 165, very proud of that fact. But it required a complete lifestyle change and complete commitment from me to stay focused on that. I suffered from a video game addiction, playing an MMORPG for 40 to 45 hours a week for over 2 years of my life. I did not sleep well. It wasn't a healthy state to be in. And my younger brother also died in my 20s. He suffered from an addiction as well. His was drug related. And I just want everybody to know that there's suffering everywhere in this world, but we can collectively work to reduce it. So here are some of the key events that have happened for me and my family since retirement. As I said, I've been retired for 2 years, my wife for 2.5. I think this is the normal part for pretty much any retiree, not just early retiree, is a period of work detox. And I use that word detox very purposefully. Lasted for me for about 3 to 4 months, but first thing we did was take a 1-month vacation. Couldn't really do that while we were both working. Employers aren't cool with, hey, can I just take a month off and travel? So we got that itch out of our system to go do that. We traveled to San Francisco, Seattle, Northern Washington. It was October. We picked apples right off the tree. We went to Vancouver. It was amazing to be able to do that. I've been remodeling our house while we were living in it. Took out all the carpet, put in some laminate flooring, had other flooring removed. I hired the stairs out because I didn't want to do that myself. I wanted it to look good, and I didn't know if I could do that. So I did the easy parts, the upstairs and the downstairs. I put in consistent laminate flooring across. I painted some rooms. We made our house look the way we wanted. I served on a citizens bond committee for my local school district. And there I learned that there's a lot of corruption in politics. And it shocked me that it's even at the local level. It's pretty ugly. We took a 2-week vacation to southern France, the coast of France near Italy. It's one of the most beautiful areas on earth. And if you have never been, I do suggest that you check out Nice and Cannes and that area. It's stunning. Expensive to travel to, but well worth it. I campaigned for several months to serve on my local school board. And our second child, Benjamin, who is back there, was born during our retirement. I've been learning Mandarin, thanks to Nina. She's been a great help. And Ruby, she's a big helper too. Ruby is more fluent than I am. I passed a real estate exam. So this is an option in my back pocket, just in case I hit that sequence of return risk. Then I can get attached to a broker and go make some money if I need to, in case the stock market hits the fan. But it also allows me to look at investment properties and be able to do a purchase without a realtor representing me other than myself and save a little money on the commission. So it's kind of dual-pronged. I'm connecting with a lot of people through my activities. Being here today, I'm so happy to be here today, and I go to a lot of meetups. I've been attending a lot of meetups around early retirement, both in Austin and San Francisco, where we lived for a while. I connect with philosophers and people that are into playing board games. I use a lot of different avenues to meet people. And I think that connecting people is what's really going to help drive our world forward and make it better. I've been volunteering with a group called Junior Achievement. It's a very great nonprofit that tries to put financial literacy into our schools. And the Financial Literacy Coalition of Central Texas, which is more geared towards giving classes to adults and partnering with other nonprofits to do that. I'm participating in Out of the Darkness walks, which are community walks to light up mental health and issues around mental health. Did one in March with my family, and I'm doing another one in November. I'm a team captain. And if you happen to live in the Austin area or nearby and want to come do that walk, you can join my team. It's Team Prosper. And I'm also campaigning for a November 2020 election to serve in U.S. Congress. This is TX31. It's Williamson County. Am I doing okay on time? Williamson County and Bell County. This is a section on lifelong learning and how it relates to purpose. So I did very well studying, but I got a nice solid job right out of college and was making good money, and I kind of had this attitude like, I worked really hard and I don't need to read books anymore. A little bit of arrogance. So I actively got dumber. I kid you not, I got dumber from the period of 2002 until 2007 when I realized, hey, I need to start reading books again. So these are all the books that I read from 2007 to 2013. Now most of these are in 2007 and 8. The ones in the left-hand column are ones that are more personal finance related. The ones in the right-hand column are more just my interests. Anything in bold is fiction. And anything with a star, I got like halfway through and stopped reading. So any book on here, I feel is a pretty good recommendation, like particularly the ones I completed. if I felt like sticking with it, I think it's a book worth reading. But then my reading really tapered down again after 2008. And I met Nina in 2008 and then went through a period of not reading again, and she pushed me again in 2016 to start reading, to start on a path of self-improvement. And I'm very thankful that she did that, because I had to learn the lesson twice. I know that I got dumber again. So these were the books that I read in 2016 and 17. I was still working during 2016 and the beginning part of 2017. And you can see I just went on a tear. I read a lot of books. Now, I'm one of the world's slowest readers, but when I read a book, I retain it really well. I read quite a bit on personal finance, even though I didn't really need it at that time because I was well on my way to retiring early. But I wanted to be able to advise other people who were looking at trying to make financial improvements in their life. So I wanted to know what were some of the books out there on that topic. In 2018, I continued reading. These are the set of books that I've read. And 2019, I really haven't read many books because I've been so busy with many of these other activities that I mentioned, remodeling my house, running for Congress, learning Mandarin. These have been fairly time-consuming activities. If you take anything from this presentation, I want it to be this one thing. Print this image out. You can just find it on Google Images. Print it out, stick it to your fridge with magnets. Look at it every day. Meditate upon it. Does anybody in the room speak Japanese? Okay, then I'm going to pronounce it. It's probably a butchered pronunciation. It's ikigai. Anybody speak French? Yes, Tristan.
Well, I speak French. Yeah.
The words in red. Raison d'être. Raison d'être. Okay, close enough. Okay, it's a Japanese concept which means a reason for being. And my point for putting the French on there, the French literally means reason for life, is it's not unique to Eastern culture. It exists in Western culture as well. In English, I would assign it the words meaning or success or even purpose. Now, I've modified the image from Google Images and added these two things here. It's not just what the world needs, it's what you feel the world needs. And it's not just what you can be paid for, but what you can be paid for well. So what is it? It is the intersection of all four of these things. It is the intersection of doing what you love, doing what you're good at, doing what you can be paid for well, and doing what you feel the world needs. I don't expect that from seeing it that you're going to just magically get there overnight and suddenly be at your center, at your ikigai, at your reason for being. But I hope that by meditating upon it over a period of months or even a couple years, you can discover what that is for you and why. Because I believe that when you get there, whatever it is that you're doing won't feel like work at all. It won't be something that you need to escape from. If you happen to have enough money that you don't need to work, that's great. But I want for each of you to be doing what is you, what is the center of you, the essence of you. And for your children, I want you to show this image to them. If they're considering going to college, they can consider trying to get to this center through multiple paths. They can consider a dual major, which doesn't take that much extra money or time beyond a single undergraduate. And maybe one of them is doing what they love, studying a subject that they love, and the other major can be something that they think they can be paid for well. And as we've seen over the course of our lives, the economy can change in a period of a few years, and maybe, just maybe, what they studied thinking it's what they love, it's now what they're going to get paid for instead. It'll just give them more options. If you're hitting 3 out of the 4, I think you're doing pretty well. Still try to get to all 4. But just 2 is kind of leaves you with a just okay feeling. I'm a software engineer by trade. I really wanted to be a teacher when I was in high school, but I looked at what teachers got paid. It's like $28,000 back then. Wasn't good. So I said, I think I'll go for the money instead of what I think I will love. So software engineers are notorious for procrastination. And I know that maybe some people in this room suffer a bit from procrastination. So I've got a few quotes I like on getting started. I start with one that's a Texan, Zig Ziglar. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. This is an Eastern philosopher, Lao Tzu. Do the difficult things while they are easy, and do the great things while they are small. A journey of 1,000 steps, 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Mark Twain said, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. And my favorite on this slide is, most smiles are started by another smile. Hey, Ruby. 谢谢. Well, I need my closing thoughts for each of you. I'm a philosopher as well. These are all quotes from philosophers. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. That's from Kierkegaard. No one can construct for you the bridge upon which you must cross the stream of life. No one but you yourself. Nietzsche. And this one's really FI related, I think. Kind of Nietzsche saying, my interpretation is, don't sell your soul and work for someone else doing work that's not rewarding. Work for yourself. And it kind of speaks to that ikigai image that I showed. No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. Okay.